Hello. Hi, we are live. Happy Tuesday, everyone. How are you doing today, Miss Carla?
I'm doing amazing. Super excited for everyone to join us and for our guest today.
Yes. So, hello and welcome anyone who stopped in to join us. It's Deb, and then I've got my lovely co-host over here today, Miss Carla De Jesus.
Yes.
And did that come out correctly?
It's perfect. Yes, you said it perfectly.
All right. So we're live every Tuesday to share. We like to come on this platform and share all things multifamily and bring valuable information to all of the amazing people that want to stop by and learn more. Today, we've got a special guest that we're going to bring on here in just a little bit, Miss Cece Schexnayder.
Yeah. Look at you.
I'm getting all the names. I'm telling all the names today. So we're going to jump in. We're going to touch on some DEI topics. We're going to talk to Cece, and she's going to share her experience moving into a new market in multifamily as a minority. So I think that this will be a really interesting and insightful conversation today. So keep in mind, we are live. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if you're watching, please comment, please hashtag us live. If you're watching us later, hashtag replay, tell us where you're watching us from, interact with us, ask questions. And then if you have similar experiences or you have something that you want to talk about, we want to hear from you. So please, please, please reach out to us. If you want to be on Industry Live, you can go to this link right here. And you can request to be on here. And we've got some other goodies on there for you to check out as well. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Miss Cece in. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hello, everyone. Thank y'all so much for having me. I'm so excited.
So excited to have you. So excited to have you. So can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, yes. Oh, and firstly, so impressed with the way you said my last name. Thank you. It was literally perfect. But yeah, my name is Cece Schexnayder. I'm a community manager in Nashville, Tennessee right now. I'm actually from Texas. I was born in Beaumont, Texas, and raised in Houston.
Yeah.
I have been in the business. You said what now?
H-Town.
Oh, H-Town, yes. I have been in the business since 2017, started as leasing and worked my way up to now.
Nice. Love that. Love that. So how did you get started in the industry? What was your connection that got you in?
Well, if you want me to be completely honest, I lied on my resume.
Oh my God.
Yep. I worked at Olive Garden for 7 years before transitioning over. And I had a coworker of mine that was just coming in. She was like, I'm about to quit. I'm about to be a leasing agent and I'd never even thought about multifamily or anything. And when she said that, I was like, wait, what do you do? Like, what are you about to apply for? So she told me that night, and I'm not lying. My best friend is a witness. That night, I went home and applied to 27 places.
Oh my God.
And all with, like I said, I lied on my resume. And the thing is, I'm a quick learner. So once I get in there, I knew that I could figure it out. So yeah, applied 27 places. 2 places called me back. The first place I interviewed hired me on the spot. Now, did not know anything about it going into it because, first of all, when I got the job, that's when everything got real. Like
you actually had to do the job.
Yes, like I just wasn't ready. Like so first of all, it was a C-class property in the hood. I'm talking like gunshots, FBI agents, like
really had to move fast.
Yes, 500 plus units. Ooh. It was great. And there was literally one other leasing agent. It was supposed to be like 4 or 5, but when I got hired, it was only one other. But yeah, I got started like that. I ended up loving it. What was so funny though, after that, the next person that the company hired, they made them do like a skills test to demonstrate that they actually had experience, because they saw very quickly, like, she didn't know what she was doing. But because I was leasing so well, they were like, well, we're going to give her the chance.
You're earning your keep, because they were like,
exactly,
leasing apartments.
Yeah, right. Yes. Terrible at paperwork. I've come a very, very, very long way. But yeah, like I said, I love it. I drank the Kool-Aid and I'm still here.
Hey, that's how it went for me. Like 19 years old. I worked at Dillard's in customer service, and an assistant manager was buying all of these gift cards. And I was like, what are these for?
What?
They're like incentives for leasing agents. And I was like, I need to come work wherever
Seriously.
I want free gift
like,
cards.
oh, we're hiring. You should come fill out an application. I was 19. I was like, okay, went on my off day, and that was the end. Like I'm 42, so like half of my industry experience was on site for 10 years, and then the other half has been on the supplier side.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people don't wake up, and they're just graduated and say, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to go to school for property management. Like, that's just not a thing. Everybody that I know has just happened to stumble upon this industry, which is the amazing thing, because we come from so many different backgrounds and so many different industries, and there's so many transferable skills that I think is amazing.
No, 100%.
Carolyn, H-Town.
Yes. Hey, thanks for joining us today. And then look who else is
hey, D-Dub. She said, Portico HR, you can go ahead and drop off the call.
I love that.
She had all those skills before she came to us. So
I did. Yeah.
Y'all were the ones who hired me when I was right.
With Portico. Like, that one was legit.
That was real.
Now, I will say Portico kept me in the industry, because whenever I got put on with Portico, I was very close to leaving. So very grateful. Shout out to Darren.
Yes.
Shout out to Portico for sure.
It's important to find a good company and a good home in this industry. And sometimes that's not easy. And there's some bad eggs out there, so
Absolutely.
yeah.
Hey,
So
Liz is also on.
Yes.
Liz, hola.
Oh man, y'all gonna make me cry.
So sweet. Love that. Okay, so let's talk about your transition to a new market. So tell us a little bit about that. When did that transition happen, and what market are you in now?
So the transition I believe I raised my hand. I want to say, yeah, I did raise my hand.
Yeah.
It was definitely like maybe November. I can't really remember the timing. The fall of last year. At first, it was kind of like maybe we'll see what happens, and then I honestly just kind of forgot about it until Carla called and was like, "Are you still interested?" And again, I did the interview. I went through all the process, not really thinking I would actually get the job. But yeah, I got the job. I officially transitioned the end of January. But to be honest, the whole reason why I raised my hand, it really just kind of went back to like little kid Cece. And little kid Cece said, when I grow up, I'm going to move somewhere completely new, all by myself, just to do it. And I never really put like a where. I just kind of said, whenever that opportunity comes and presents itself, then I'll take it. And it just so happened to be Nashville. And, I felt like when the opportunity officially came, it was like, if I don't do this, then I'll be letting down little kid Cece. No matter how scary it is or whatever, I didn't want to let that part of me down. And I'm so glad I came. At first, I was a little on the edge. I think it was really being homesick and all of those things. But I'm really glad I'm here now.
Yes. Oh, good. Yeah, I love that, because I did that at 19. Well, not 19.
Oh, okay.
Like immediately, literally the day I graduated on a Friday night, and I was married and living in a different city that next day.
Wow.
Wow. That is a big transition.
But
I was very adventurous, and I was down for like, let's go make a life somewhere. So.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think I got married really young, literally right out of high school too. So, and it was like, oh, I'm done. Let's move. Let's get married. Let's, live life and do whatever, So I feel like that's just that, go-getter type of spirit that you have, that you have to have that if you're moving to a new city by yourself. It's just
right.
Regardless of who you are, you have to kind of have the chutzpah, is that the word?
Yep.
To get it, to go and to experience it and not be scared and, not be afraid to feel alone, even though you're not, but
right.
Your mind kind of tries to play tricks on you sometimes, so
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
What do you think has been like the most difficult thing that you've experienced, making this move and leaving your home base, like Houston? This is this is the only thing you knew, right?
Right. Yes.
It's really, tell me about that.
So I really think Carla hit the nail on the head. It's really that feeling alone aspect. So, before it's really different whenever back in, December, when I was thinking about moving and all of these great things, I really didn't take into account like all of the normal voices of reasons that you're used to, your friends, your family, you're away from. So I really think the most difficult part, aside from feeling alone, is really trusting myself and really relying on my gut instincts, my intuition to really navigate through all of this uncharted territory. Because not only is, the market new, I'm constantly networking with people. I'm constantly having to make those new connections. I cannot tell you like some of the most random places I meet people that are great people to know. So it's really relying on myself and trusting that I can do this and not really accepting that I'm so much alone, because I may be physically alone, but I'm not alone, like Carla mentioned. I'm definitely calling somebody.
Like from the experience, because you grew up in Houston, and Houston's like so multicultural and diverse, and just the melting pot of all the things, and one of the reasons why I love living here, and I don't have that itch to go anywhere else, because I love it here. I love this city. Going into a completely different market in a different city, how was that? Did you feel like there a lack of diversity, or did it feel inclusive? Did you struggle, in any way, finding yourself and your place in a new city and market like that?
Yes, definitely to some degree. So it's complicated, because the more that I'm here, the more that there is diversity here, it's just not as prevalent. It's not really, I kind of see the diversity more at the entry level jobs, but when it comes to having positions of authority, being a leader, that's what I don't see. And I after speaking to some other minorities in the multi-family space, they definitely let me know that it's more so the downtown market that is really lacking that diversity. Because if you travel maybe 15-20 minutes out, you'll definitely start to see more color and things like that. But when it comes to this really like I said, to this downtown market specifically, you don't really see it that often.
Right.
You don't really see it that often. But again, I do think that as fast as Nashville is growing, it's inevitable. The diversity is going to happen. I'm testifying
exactly.
I'm making it a little bit more diverse. And honestly, that's all we can do, because obviously I wish I could wave a magic wand and just fix these things, but it takes time, and it's a really cool process to see overall, because not only does it challenge me and my perceptions of the world, I know that my being here is challenging other people's perceptions.
And that's what I love about I think your personality specifically. And Cece, Carolyn, I agree with you. She is super fearless, which is why I definitely needed her to be on here. She has a lot of wisdom, and we can go into this question, but definitely think you have to have that type of personality that says, I'm here and I'm going to be the exception to whatever, to whatever rule, to whatever space you think is going to stay a certain way. You're there to make a change. And that's kind of that mindset shift that I was saying before, that you have that in your mind. And so Carolyn says, what wisdom do you have for people or listeners who are trying to find the courage that you have? So what advice can you give?
That's good.
That is a good question. Thank you. Honestly, and as simple as it sounds, it's really just doing it. And remembering not to dim your light. I think whenever we get in places and spaces that we're not comfortable with or we're not familiar with, we have a tendency to kind of like step back a little bit because I'm trying to fit in. I'm trying to read the room and fit into the, and honestly, that's not it. You need to show up and be authentically yourself, because that is what's going to stick in people's minds. It's not going to be because, you didn't say anything or you kind of fell into the background. No, like wear what you want to wear, like because at the end of the day, there's a very big difference between your capability of the job and who you are as a person. I have to wake up every day and remind myself that I am not this job. I am not, whatever title that I hold, that doesn't necessarily define me. Like I define the job.
Exactly. Yes.
So really showing up, being authentically Caroline, that's what the world needs to see, because you'll see once you show up a little bit, once you start showing up as yourself, and I'm a testimony girl. Like I am, like I was telling them how scared I was to get out here to talk to you guys, but just like I'm putting myself out here and touching you, you have to do the same thing. Put yourself out there, because you never know who in the room you're going to inspire to speak up. And that's really what keeps multifamily growing and it's so innovative. But yeah, speak up, talk, get yourself out there, girl. We need you.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Okay, Kimberly and I talk on like some soft skills, emotional intelligence, empathy, all things of that nature. One of the topics that we talk about is unconscious bias. Just for the viewers, because I always, want to read the definition of this. So unconscious bias refers to the attitudes or stereotypes that affect our views, our actions, and decision-making ability. The scientific research in this area is compelling, and it demonstrates how unconscious bias is automatically activated and affects how we think day to day. Cognitive bias and unconscious bias are like synonyms essentially too. So it's so interesting. I love this topic because we're all human, and we all have unconscious bias. Like we all do, because you only know what you know until you learn something new.
Exactly.
Right. know, so that's why I'm always like, give people grace, because they don't know what they don't know. But people can learn. So have you encountered some unconscious bias? And then how did you handle that situation?
Oh, absolutely. So here's the thing about me.
Let me guess.
Let me guess. No, let me hear it.
You are transparent and upfront.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Not scared.
Definitely not scared, but I do. So I really feel like it's a really sensitive topic, because whenever these situations happen in the moment, of course, I want to lash out and say what I want to say and things like that. But then I have to also remember, and being a person of color who is a female, I have to remember, I know the stereotype says that this person is going to be upset. They're going to lash out. Like the moment that I do open my mouth and say those things that I want to say, I play right into whatever preconceived notion they already have about me.
Right.
So the cool thing about Cece Schexnayder is that
I hear the middle name in on this.
Oh one. Yeah, because I need you to feel me. I thrive on people doubting me. I thrive on people, looking at me and looking at me as an underdog. Like I like that position because
can prove them wrong.
I know.
Oh yeah,
exactly. And I prove them wrong every time. And that's the gag. Like I know that above all of your negative energy from all of the things that you just are putting on me, I know that I'm going to rise above it, because again, I'm Cece Schexnayder. I am not this job. Regardless of what I do, I truly believe that all things good will eventually come from it. So yeah, definitely have already dealt with some of those situations, but like Beyonce says, best revenge is your paper. So whenever they see, the property shooting up in numbers and occupancy, when we have great resident retention, those are the things that I feel like is the best revenge. And it's because that's going to leave the best mark. Like you can say, here it is, you put all of these negative things on me, And yet through all of this, you know, those things, I'm doing better.
Yeah.
So what does
You
that tell you?
excelled and you conquered it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Cece did that. Cece
exactly. Cece did that. And that's why I'm so grateful for the support system that I have, because, you know, I would like to think that at least everybody at Portico knows that I operate like that. And I love that they truly let me operate in that space. You know, of course, whenever I start stepping out of line or anything like that, of course, they'll draw me back in. But in the moment, they definitely let me live like Cece. They let me work like Cece. Like I'm not put in this box. And that is, it's really healthy. It really, really is, because of course, being not put in a box, I get to blossom, and other people and people have already come up to me and they see the change that Portico, that myself is trying to bring to Nashville, and they're here for it. So I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna keep spreading that with my team and
I love it.
Okay, so, you know, what are your biggest lessons that you've learned from your experience? Like the best advice, which I think you've said, is be you, basically, you know,
yes,
be you, be,
yes,
you know, authentic. And
yes,
I love that. So, you know, I mean, what, like your biggest lessons that you've learned thus far, you know, I mean, you have any of those to share?
For sure. Like I said, I already mentioned trusting my intuition and my gut, but getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. I know that was something me and Carla talked about whenever I first got out here. And that, if that isn't the truth, I don't know what is, because every day, y'all, every day I feel like I wake up like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do what my to-do list says and keep it moving. But really being uncomfortable, because I mean, and I mean, that's anything. Like, even if you're not in a new market or whatever, like, I try to push myself a little bit, even when I am getting complacent or getting too comfortable. I like to do something to push me a little bit outside of that, because that's what's going to keep me great. Even if it's just, I'm going to take the stairs instead of the elevator, like that little step. If we take a bunch of those little bitty steps, we're going to be so much further than if we would have just stayed comfortable.
Yeah.
So I try to look through those every day.
Creates growth. Like that's how you grow. You can't grow if you're stuck in this little box that you've set for yourself. You have to expand. You have to go outside of that level of like, okay, I'm here, I'm good, complacency, like you're saying. It's definitely not a recipe for growth. So
it definitely is not. So, and you'll be surprised. You will really surprise yourself, because I'm going to be honest, I did not think, every promotion I've had, I never thought I was ready. It was always somebody who came to me and was like, you should probably consider this. Yeah. And, and believe me, they had to come to me because I was comfortable where I was at. But, I appreciate it. And like I said, that's really, that being uncomfortableness is what really catapulted me into making the transition into Nashville.
What do you love about Nashville so far? So
I actually really love, man, between the places and people, it's kind of hard, because don't get me wrong, on one hand, and really, I really deal with a lot of, some unpleasant people really in the multifamily space, but outside of that, everybody here is just really cool. Like it's very rare. It's funny, because if you meet a local, you'll call them a unicorn, because everybody you meet here is not from here. So that's really cool that we all are kind of sharing this experience, kind of like this conscious experience. Yeah. Like we all know what it feels like to come in and not know anybody. So I really do think that it does leave people with a little bit more empathy in their space. Yeah. So like I said, and I've also met some people here who see the lack of diversity in the town. And it's funny, because they actually want to have those conversations with me. Like, well, what can we do? Like I had somebody ask, like, what if I could change one thing about Nashville to make me feel a little bit more included? What would that be? And, like I said, those kinds of questions I'm never prepared for in the moment. But it's really, I think it's so cool that it isn't just me who feels like this is something that needs to be talked about. Think podcasts and platforms like this is so important, because it's easy for us to kind of get in that out of sight, out of mind kind of mindset. And, whenever you are not a minority, of course, you're not going to think about it, because, I mean, who would? Like, if I'm pretty sure I would think the same way if I wasn't. But like I said, this is so important, just to bring it to the forefront. because it's going to continue to make us great. So I do love Nashville's
vulnerable conversation too.
Yes.
A lot of people don't want to touch it. Like it's scary. Like, yeah.
And I think they don't want to feel like they're overstepping or offending anybody too. So I think it's a little bit of both. Like people don't want to have the conversation because they don't care, you know, which obviously is wrong. But there's also people who are like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what to say.
And you don't want to say the wrong thing. You never.
Exactly. So I think that's why this space and you like just being open and honest and transparent and not scared, you know, of having those conversations. We need more of that because that's what's going to help bridge that gap between, you know, people with unconscious bias and they may not know it, you know.
Exactly.
And that's what's going to bring and make everything so much smoother and bring people together. I think that's really the goal.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. So. I mean, it's so funny, like even with like Kimberly and myself, you know, and just we spend a lot of time together, a lot of conversations, and we love to just, you know, when each one of us say something that we'll be like, unconscious bias. Unconscious bias. Like, did you hear that? So it's almost become like this thing, like for us to, So that's we have some funny stories on that, but but this has been so great, and we're about at our time. So I appreciate you. This has been so good, and I'm so happy that you came on to talk about this.
Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, and if you want to tell the audience how to connect with you, like what should they just check out your LinkedIn? Do you have an email address you want to shout out?
Yes, my email address is my first name, last name @gmail.com. Hopefully it's written out for y'all to see because I know my last name is so obnoxious. Okay. So first name, last name @gmail.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn @Cece Schexnayder.
And of course, you know, we can always connect you or connect anybody with you. So please, you know, reach out to us. We have an email address, and I'll pop this up here. So if you want to be a guest or you have questions, you want to reach out, we also have an email address that is beonindustrylive@gmail.com. So, you know, if you are watching, if you're going to watch this after the fact, you know, please tag us, hashtag replay, tell us where you're watching from. And let's see if I'm missing anything. I don't think so, but this has been like super great.
Yes, I love this.
We hope to have you back. Like, let's continue the conversation, like, and, you know, and just keep talking about it. And let's kind of like normalize these conversations.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm ready when y'all are.
Great.
Well, super awesome. Well, we'll wrap up for today, but next week we'll be back. We'll have new guests, new topics. So thanks for joining us. Thank you, Carla, for jumping in. We're going to see a lot more of you. So it'll be a lot of fun. And until next Tuesday, everyone, have a great rest of the week.
Bye everyone.